folks. Hope everybody's doing well. So, for episode 3 of my 25 favorite guitar players, I'm going to talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan for a minute. Stevie Ray Vaughan died much too young, 1990, helicopter crash. But what he was able to accomplish and the imprint that he was able to make in the rock world as well as the blues world is just phenomenal. Um, I actually really didn't start getting into Stevie Ray until the '90s. So actually, after he'd passed, and I was always sort of working backwards to to his earlier material and I was in the '90s. I was pretty SRV obsessed. If you know the channel, I'm all about Les Pauls and everything. But honestly, in the '90s, I was a Strat guy. And why was I a Strat guy? It was because of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I played Strats, and I really worked hard at trying to get that Stevie thing, that just that driving rhythm, and just that groove that he had. Stevie had a ton of groove and musicality. It just flowed out of this guy. And his tone, like he had the perfect Strat tone, um, and it's been rumored, how big a gauge strings he was using. Oh, he was using 12s, using 13s, whatever the hell he was using. That Strat sounded big, it sounded fat, and it was driving. I mean, for the most part, earlier on when Double Trouble, he was just three piece, and the amount of material and the material, the volume and the power that they got out of that three piece was just unbelievable. Stevie was, I one of those guys that was just like you could tell he was an absolute natural. He never really had to work at it. It was just sort of in him to come out. He never hit a bad note, a bum note, a wonky bend. Everything just flowed like water. And I was saying earlier, when I was, really studying Stevie and trying to play like Stevie, he's one of those guys you could watch his hands. He's playing, scales that everybody knows, pentatonic scales, but to play those scales and to play them like that and make them sound like that, even though you're playing it right, it won't sound right because there's this other intangible that Stevie had. And all his solos in his rhythm playing, and his, he would go from rhythm to lead to rhythm to lead just seamlessly and endlessly. Like it just flowed from him so naturally. I always talk about why is he my top 25? What are my three things? With three reasons why. Number one, the guy would just had an amazing control of his instrument, command of his instrument, and he could do anything with that Strat. Uh, Number two, he had just an incredible amount of groove and flow and all. I've already talked about this, but that musicality that just flowed so naturally out of him. Um, and one thing I want to mention here, he was a blues guy, and a lot of songs that he played, and generally I'm not a big blues fan. I like a little more variety. I want to hear a fourth chord, that's a 1 4 5. But Stevie's music was so engaging, it was so well done and just mind blowing that he kept it interesting. I can listen to an entire blues record if it's Stevie Ray Vaughan. And for me, he is I mean, as far as blues players, I don't know if you want to call him blues rock, but in that genre, definitely my favorite, my absolute favorite. So the musicality, just the natural flow. And the fourth thing, the guy just had that, you could tell when he's playing, he just had so much confidence and he had that swagger and I should mention this, and a hell of a singing voice. The guy had a great voice, better than most of these guys who play and sing. Like his voice is amazing. And getting back to his legacy, I mean, how many people has he you know, out there now that he's kind of launched, you know, uh, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Philip Sace, guys like this, that are kind of continuing that sort of more of a bluesy type thing I guess in a rock, but more of a blues rock, and perpetuating that forward, and that's all because of Stevie. If you've never listened to any Stevie Ray Vaughan, or never seen any footage of him playing live, I'm going to include, and do yourself a favor, check this out. Down below, for me, the best video of him playing, available is Stevie live at the El Mocambo. And I'll put the whole program down there. But and it's broken up into songs. If you don't want to sit through all songs, there's two things you got to watch. Watch him play Texas Flood, or watch him play Lenny, or watch him play both. And that shows sort of the both extremes, the showmanship, the playing behind the back, and just the crazy musicality of Texas Flood. Or he's just playing like Lenny, which is kind of a slower instrumental composition, which is just beautiful. Can't say enough about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Unfortunately, we lost him much too young in 1990, but there you go. That's my episode 3. If you like what you see, please consider liking, and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to help out the channel, links are below. Catch you next Saturday. Take care.